So, good morning, everybody. We are very soon to start. I just want to make a quick technology check here. So if you can hear my voice, could you please use the raised hand in the GoToWebinar side panel so that we can make sure. Okay, perfect. Great, that seems to work. Then thanks a lot for the feedback, and yeah, just stay tuned. We will begin just in a few minutes. So, good morning, everybody. I see that more and more people are joining. So we will start in maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Just again, for the ones that joined, a quick check. Can you hear me? If so, please use the raised hand symbol. Okay, perfect. So that's working. Thanks a lot. And yeah, stay tuned. In around 1 or 2 minutes, we will begin. So we have 10 o'clock, and I still see that a number of people are joining. So yeah, we will give it another maybe around 30 seconds-ish, 1 minute until we begin. So yeah, just stay tuned. So, good morning, everyone. I think now the stream of people coming in is going down. So, yeah, very happy to be here, to see that so many of you are joining at this morning. And I'm happy to talk about a very important topic today about monitorings and how we can really somehow automate the monitoring process. I think many of you know that we from IamIP have put a lot of work over the last months around to just make your life a bit easier. And I'm happy to talk about the most recent developments and how they can really help you. And therefore, my name is Victor Wolf. I think many of you know me, but while going through the list here, there's well a lot of new faces, so happy to have you here. And I'm on the one hand responsible for our customer success team. So the ones that help our clients with starting to use IamIP, with getting into the details. And I'm as well our product manager, so meaning the person that somehow together with, let's say, our CTO and internal stakeholders, and as well with you, somehow define, let's say, what we are going to do with the IamIP platform. And this is as well the case for the most recent developments that I would like to talk about. So let's get started now. We have around 30 minutes today, so I think a quite good timing on this very focused topic. And the presentation will be twofold. I will, of course, at the beginning talk a bit about IamIP for the ones of you that are new here, but then really go into the background of today's topic, then show you how the automation works, and even go then in the secondary part live into IamIP to really show you like live how that works, because a lot of things may sound a bit abstract, and I think that we can resolve that by the session. And then, of course, at the end, as always, there's a Q&A session, and therefore, if you have any questions along the way, please really just use the side panel from GoToWebinar, put in your question. My colleague Claire, which I think many of you know from our chat support, she's available there and will answer you respectively if it fits in. Directly takes it up in the presentation. Otherwise, as addressed, we will take it up at the very end of today's session. Good, but then starting first of all off with a bit of a poll. I know it's beginning of the day. We all just are getting ready, so therefore, like a very quick question, like just from the weather's point of view, because here it's really in Cologne not that nice. I mean, this morning was 5 degrees when I came in, and even the door, the locking mechanism was a bit frozen. So I really had to spend like quite a number of minutes to getting into. So here it's really winterish, but well, still some people having good weather. So yeah, maybe 50-50. So let's hope then that we somehow, can bring some good warmth to you all via this webinar. So yeah, I think it's October around the clock. That's as well fine. But then let's take a little bit the bridge to the topic today. So I'm a little bit curious from all of you that joining here, like how many patents did your monitorings now filed, just found this week? Of course, doesn't have to be exactly precise, but just that we are getting a bit of the feeling. So some people more than 500. Wow, that's quite a lot. But otherwise, it seems the majority is in the area of 10 to 50, which looks quite nice. And yeah, okay, so quite a good mixture. And if you look on the, let's say, at least everything above 10, I think there's really something, I guess, today that could help you further. So yeah, I think it will be interesting. So let's get back to the presentation. And as mentioned, I know a few of you have not yet been in touch with IamIP, so therefore a very quick background to us. We are now around for 13 years, really having a background from, let's say, the patent side. So we have been working as IP coordinators and IP responsible people, as well as R&D engineers in the industry. And with IamIP, we really wanted to make sure that basically patent information is accessible to anybody in the company, and that we can really bridge the gap between the IP department and the R&D departments, because that's really something that we saw lacking in the past when, let's say, there were some hurdles in going through patent documents, and a lot of information was lost. And that's why we provide the IamIP platform, a third-party patent handling tool, which of course allows you to search for patents. So we have an own database with all the patents in the world. But more importantly, that's the topic as of today, we have a very big focus in the IamIP platform on the monitoring part and really the workflow where you can involve the whole organization. But enough about us. Let's jump ahead into the topic for today. And I would like to first just share a bit of a background. First of all, really connected to the taxonomy, because there are a lot of words out there of what the monitoring is. And in order to have clear grounds for everybody, I thought it's good just to define what we from IamIP mean with this. And in the end of the day, monitoring is a search string, maybe for competitors, maybe for technologies that you have set up and that automatically runs on a weekly basis. Because as you can see on the top, there's a huge amount of publications published every week, where definitely something is of importance for you. So meaning, what does the monitoring do? It automatically scans these areas for you. You don't have to do that manually. So you really stay up to date on competitors, technologies, trends, markets, whatever you are interested in. But of course, I mean, why did we invest so heavy in automation? I think there are a number of major challenges which I very often see when I'm talking to my customers. And the first one is, of course, the amount of data. And as you see here, the number of patents are really increasing or have increased a lot and are still increasing. And one thing, I've just been 2 weeks ago on a conference where the outlook was even more drastically. And now with AI drafting tools, there's really the big expectation that we go further into an exponential growth of patent filings. So meaning traditional ways of going through the new results on a weekly basis will really hit the limits because it will just get more and more and more. So meaning a lot of the customers I'm working are really struggling here with the huge amount of data that comes in. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge is really like when we get to the actual results, how do we really work internally with it from start to end? And I would just like to show you a little bit of a short example workflow. Also meaning we are starting, of course, with our database where we get all the new patents in. We have a search expert that actually sets up a search string. And then on a weekly basis, all the new hits are popping up in the monitoring. And then there's the first big question, like, okay, if we proceed now, like, who is the person that should actually go through these documents? And in many cases, our clients have an IP coordinator, so a person that knows the technology, not very deeply, but knows it, and who knows the R&D side, so the people that can really judge what is relevant or not. And what they're actually doing is then really case by case distributing the patents to the R&D people. And then they are responsible somehow for checking, is this document relevant or not? And very importantly, that they are responsible for assigning the documents to the internal own taxonomy. So typically, because you want to make long-term use of the patents which are relevant, many customers create like their own knowledge database, so a list of all the relevant patent documents, and really connect them to their products, to their technologies, for example. So label them, for example, as text, so that we along the way have then a very fast way of retrieving the documents again when we need them. So meaning manual evaluations, and then if something is problematic, the R&D is somehow distributed to the IP team. And in the end of the day, the question is like, where should it be saved? So we somehow manually put it into dedicated folders. I think you already see it's a large amount of manual steps, and a lot of people are involved. And as well, a lot of people really need to know what is their role in the process, so they know where they need to distribute further. And now going forward, I would like to show to you three features / modules in IamIP, which can really help you to automate a lot of the work. The first one, I will just touch very briefly upon it because we have it now for a number of years already is our pattern categorizer. And this is an AI model which basically can scan through hundreds, like we saw with the 50s or even the 500 documents that one of the of you shared for this week, and really tell you from these 500 documents, only these 150 are, for example, relevant. The rest you can skip. So it automatically identifies through all the patent documents the relevant ones, and will tell you this by an IamIP by a dedicated flag, for example, relevance 1 for being relevant for you, and it even shows you grading how relevant that is. So meaning for the challenge 1, in terms of the amount of data, this is a significant help to quickly go down to the documents that you should really look at. Then the second thing you may see in a release note just a few days ago. So it's a new module, and I'm very happy to talk about this today, as it's like really a very important piece in the whole flow, is our AI tagger. And as I started off in the workflow discussions, typically a lot of our customers use a tagging structure in IamIP, which is basically labeling. So meaning they really connect the patents to products, to technologies, and just like you see here, use therefore this tagging structure. And as of now, this was already always manually, and now we have this AI tagger which does it automatically for you. So you don't have to anymore, let's say, go through this menu and assign it. Once you can jump into IamIP, when you have this module, it directly tells you and assigns the documents to those different taxonomies. So again, back to the first challenge, another tool that really helps you to reduce this manual work of the initial assignments. So meaning we are getting control of the amount of data, but we still have the challenge number 2 with the rules, or let's say with the workflow. And this is now something where our smart rules come in. And this is basically a listening process. So you could say in a certain patent list, if anybody puts a certain evaluation, let's say a 5-star, so the critical evaluation, directly set up a legal status watch and directly notify the IP team so that we don't have to think about it. Or if you think about how should we actually store data, you could have an automated rule that says if somebody puts, like for the bikes, the wheel or the brake on a patent document, directly move it into a certain portfolio. So meaning, if we have a look back at the workflow from below, there are now really a number of things that we can do to improve it. So meaning, starting point is the same as before. We on the weekly basis get our new results. But now you may recall that previously we had this IP coordinator doing the distribution and the R&D for the final evaluation. And now by applying these 3 things, step 1 is the categorizer goes through those, let's say, 500 documents and tells you only 150 are relevant. In the next step, the tagger can go through it and really put those documents into, let's say, the products that we want to have it assigned to, or the technologies, whatever we want. And this we can now connect with our rules. So you can say when something is connected to product A, let's say the brakes system in our bike company, please send it automatically to R&D engineer 1 because he's the expert there. If we have found a document connected to, I don't know, the frame, send it to R&D person 2, and so on, and directly save it as well in the according portfolios for each of these products or technologies. So meaning the IP coordinator is not anymore needed here, and as well for escalation purposes. You could say if somebody of the colleagues puts a 5-star rating, they don't manually need to inform the IP department, the lawyers. We can just have this rule that checks for new 5-star rankings, and if that happens, they will automatically notify the IP team, so that really these people can purely focus on the, let's say, assessment of the documents, and they don't need to know all the surrounding cases of the workflow. Good. As always, I know it was maybe a bit abstract, so I'd like to present the process now live to you, and I will just keep it on a bit of an easy level, so not making it too complex. So we are a bicycle company, and we have basically two products, brakes and saddles, and we just have one monitoring, let's say, that checks for this area, and we now would like to basically apply the workflow that we have seen before. So meaning if I just switch the view, let's jump into the IamIP platform. There we go. For the ones that don't know IamIP yet, just very briefly on the top level, on the left-hand side, we have access to all our different main functions. And now the key thing for our automated workflow are basically these two parts. On the left-hand side, we have the monitorings. So the things where every week the new patterns coming in and the search thing is running, and where we then have to make the evaluation. And then we have the portfolios, which is then the final storage place for all the relevant documents. And just like you see here, for the presentation, I just duplicated the monitoring 3 times that we can look on the difference. And our goal is to save the according documents into the brake/saddle area in this case. So how do we do it today? Just to give you some insights. Of course, we have at the top now our AI evaluation. This is, let's say, not relevant. The next one would be relevant. But now for the automation, I will leave that a bit on the side. So I, as Victor, would go through the pattern document and then assign, okay, this is a saddle. So meaning I would activate the saddle tag, and at the same time would now move it into our saddle portfolio. So really like quite a number of steps, which of course we would like to avoid. So therefore, what can we do now to improve that? Is that we can set up this rule, which we are seeing. And now I will just use it, let's say, for move, let's say brakes. I see there's a third pattern in it now. So meaning the goal is here that every pattern which has received the tag brakes should automatically be moved into our brake portfolio. And of course, I could create a second rule for the according saddle activation. So meaning now, if I look at the second pattern, it talks about the brakes, which is really in line with our process. So now by just assigning the tag brakes, you see it automatically moves it into the according portfolio. So if we now look into the bike components, you see both have received one pattern, and we really saved this initial step of moving. So, I mean, this is still somehow manually, and we see now how we could set up the rule which automatically moves things on. And now I would like to show you a little bit our AI tagger. Because as we have seen, I have now manually assigned the tags, which can be as well, if I think about this IP coordinator or the distributing role, a bit time consuming. And let's have a look now. In this case, so I'm on the right hand side triggering the process of the AI tagging. So you right away see that now in the background the tagger process is running because there's an exclamation mark. And let's have a little bit of a look now. How does that work? Because we can here have a look on the dedicated statistics, and now right away you see the AI tagger automatically recognized this pattern is connected to our internal saddle technology or saddle products, and it right away put the according saddle tag on it. So meaning now I don't anymore have to do that. The same if you go through, it's a frame document talking about bicycle frames, which is neither saddle nor the brakes. So it didn't receive any tag, thumbs up. And then further down the road, we see here that the third pattern actually becomes the brake tag. And of course, it is talking about breaks. So it really works very nicely. And just like we see here, in the given case of our around 70 documents, 25 were automatically assigned to breaks, 27 to saddle, and now there are now 17 documents which are still unassigned, and these have to be looked at. So the tagger works very fine here, but now of course we want to combine those. And this is now maybe something I would like to show here in parallel. Now let me maybe get this up and running like this. I will zoom a little bit out. Because now we have our, let's say we want to combine both things. So meaning what I've done here in this final portfolio is that actually I already set up the rules to move things into break and into the saddle portfolio. So meaning I would now like to run our let me just check that, our AI model on this full automation monitoring. And let me just trigger that. Where do we have it? I think here. There we go. So now I'm starting again the tagger. You see it is now processing this monitoring with 68 patent documents. And now once it starts to assign the text to the patent documents, it will automatically move it into our according portfolios that we see on the right-hand side, connected to break, connected to saddle, just like you see now 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15. So meaning all this manual work that we normally have done is completely handled by the tagger and the rules. Of course, now it's a lot of pop-ups. I mean, normally it runs in the night, so you don't see them. But I guess you really can see how much time you save here by not anymore manually going through it and assigning them from left to right. So let's go a little back. So now you see from those initial 70 documents, we exactly have those 17 left, which are not assigned to this technical field, which we have to manually check. And now, for example, for breaks, where our colleague Jonas is responsible for, he has his 25 documents to go through, and the same for saddle, where we have another R&D colleague. He directly has his task to do, and we don't need to do that automatically or manually anymore. Great. So therefore, just to quickly sum it up, what have we done now? We have initially used this categorizer to tell us what is relevant or not. Then the tagger went through and assigned, let's say, our internal taxonomy to the patent documents. The rules made this distribution to the domain experts. We could have now, we don't have the time for it, but a secondary rule watching, let's say, the critical 5-star assignments to automatically involve IP responsible people. And we really saw how these patent documents were automatically moved into the right portfolios. And that's what I somehow call this end-to-end assisted cycle, because from a lot of manual steps, we really now focus just on very few, like we see here, where then the domain experts really need to apply their knowledge. Great. So going a little bit to our summary and conclusions, I think you saw at the beginning, we really had this challenge of a huge amount of data, large amount of documents that we have to go through, and that somehow has to get gotten under control. We saw by this workflow there were a lot of manual steps and manual actions which often don't really generate value because it's more like a distribution task. And we really saw, like, if we now combine the categorizer to know what is really relevant, the tagger to assign it to our internal taxonomy, and then the rules which listen in and automatically distribute it, we can really significantly ease up the process, reduce time, and I think as well what's important with this reduced complexity that we see here, that we don't really have to educate people anymore. We just have to, please just analyze the patterns in your bucket, period, nothing else. And of course, in this way, we really mitigate the risk, and because we have everything optimized there. Great. So looking a bit at the time, so we have now 2-3 minutes left. So happy to take any questions. And as always, thanks a lot for your attention. And if you somehow want to try it out or want to get to know a bit more in details, just reach out either to me, to our support@imip.com email address, or if you are in touch already with a personal customer success member, as well with them. Great. And Claire, were there any questions?
Yeah, we have some questions. The first one is somebody just wants to know the reliability of the categorizer. If you could talk a little bit more about that.
Of course. And there's no, let's say, right or wrong answer, but what I can really share is that for the categorizers, we specifically built an AI model based on your training data. So meaning all comes down to the data that we get from your site. So typically we receive a list of relevant documents and not relevant documents. And whenever the training data is like good, the categorizer works very, very well. We have, I think, I don't know, but tens of like categorizers running on many different customers, as well across all technologies. And whenever we have a good data set, like they are very, very happy with it. At the same time, what's important to address, that we never take data away from you. So meaning we just show you our proposal, this is relevant and this is not relevant, but you still have access to the not relevant ones if you want. But as well, if there are any, let's say, reference contacts are needed, just reach out and we can share like first-hand experience. But it works very, very well. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it's now already version 4, I think, 3 or 4. So meaning over the last few years, we really gained a lot of knowledge and improved it step by step.
Perfect. There's just a little bit of confusion about the tagger. So can you just explain a bit more? It runs in the background. So the customer will provide you with the tags that they want to use. So they don't have to do anything. Everything is done for them. Could you just maybe elaborate on that?
Exactly. So it's the way it would work, that let's say if you want to use it, you would really tell us like for what text you would like to use it. So typically, and maybe I can go a little bit back to the presentation here. If I take this one up, it always makes sense to really have a dedicated purpose, like we saw, like components, maybe device, or maybe here that we say, I want to automatically classify my patents by the type of suspension technology. So we just need to know like what text you would like to have evaluated in a certain tag tree, tag tree branch, and then we just need an amount of exemplary patents connected to, in this case, air, coil, oil, or spring. And then we train it for you, and it will just run in the background. Like for example, on if you want to connect it to the monitorings as well, just after the monitorings will run. But it could as well run on other portfolios, other monitorings. But it's really done from our side for you. So you just relax. And once it's done, you just see the text appearing like we saw now in the presentation.
Great. We just had some questions about the rules. So is it one rule set for all monitorings, or how does it work?
Yeah, that's as well the beauty a bit. So meaning you can really tailor it for every monitoring. So meaning like we saw here, I can maybe make the example of moving. So let's say we would like to use it based on the taggings, just like we see an example. So now I used it for this tree for components, but you can say in the next monitoring, my focus is not the components, but I'm making really, I have a search string connected to the technology of damping, oil, spring, whatever. No? So you can really, in every monitoring, apply it to the unique conditions there. I think we have time for one more question, I think, and then if more come, just reach out to us. So.
Just somebody has a question. Does the system learn from the user after you have set up the tagger using the tagged training data?
As well, there it's possible to continuously improve it. So you can start with a certain setup, and then when things develop, it can be improved with time. Yes.
Perfect.
Great. Well then, thank you all for staying tuned. I wish you all really a nice remaining day, not the ones that are in Germany. Good Unity Day tomorrow. And if you have questions, just reach out to us. And yeah, thanks for joining. Bye-bye.